Hi, it's me, MC. So, we've had the pros and cons of our New Year's resolutions. And the truth is, we always feel like we need to make them because it feels like everyone else is. So, let's talk about a kinder way to have compassion towards ourselves and this opportunity to have a refresh on what we want to do and be in the coming year for 2026. So I'm MC of Healthy by George. Please think about subscribing. I come each week to talk about all the things that we need to consider to stay healthy and vigorous well into our 80s and 90s. So join me here each week. Push that like button and definitely subscribe. And I think that we can support one another to be our best selves going into our older years. So, why is it that we always feel so pressured to do our resolutions at this time of the year? I think a lot of it has to do with is that it's an opportunity in a great way to kind of reflect and refresh, like I talked about recently. It's also an opportunity for us to feel like we feel pressured to do some kind of resolution, or we feel pressured when people ask us, so what are you going to, do more of or let go of? Or, it seems to be the conversation at hand. And, in a way, it's a really great opportunity to really do some reflection, but it needs to be done, I think, in a certain framework with kindness and compassion. Because I know for me, when I look back at how I reflect on last year, it was a tough year. I have to think almost 9 months of last year was tough because the first 5 months I was suffering from hip pain. So it was making it difficult to walk. And I finally had to make a decision to have my hip replaced. I had to get dog walkers. I had to do a lot of organization so that I could make it happen. Then, after I had the surgery, I had complications. Ooh, who knew? And that led into a second surgery, followed by my poor dog. Who knew that he would have glaucoma and high blood pressure the minute I returned home? So that was a whole procedure that took me all the way through August. And I finally was feeling really back to myself come September. Well, what did I learn? I learned I have a lot of resilience. Thank you, God, for that. And truthfully, if you do bring the right mindset to hard situations, I think that's the biggest thing I learned. Bringing the right mindset to a hard situation, that it won't last forever, that you can take this one day at a time. All of those things are really helpful to get through a hard time. So that was something that I can really take into the new year because we really don't know what's going to happen through this new year. It's all kind of a surprise. We can make plans, we can decide things, we can organize ourselves to do things, but the truth is that no one knows how our year is going to go. We can do our very best in being intentional, kindly and compassionately to ourselves. For one of the things that you can think about is maybe there's a way of being mindful about what you want to accomplish. Maybe you want to do something that is going to focus more on being attentive to how your body is. Are you making those appointments to see your practitioners, your eye exams, your hearing exams, your physical exams? Are you checking in with your doctor? When was the last time that you had a mammogram? When was the last time that you had the whole dreaded colonoscopy? I mean, let's face it, the more we can get ahead of those things, the more we can help ourselves in the big picture. So going ahead at this time of the year and making it scheduled is the best approach we can make. Get those things put into your calendar so that you're not having to think about it later. If you do it this first week of January, boy, are you ahead of the game getting those appointments down. And I think the second thing is that what are you doing daily to help yourself with your nutrition and your movement? When you listen to some of the podcasts, like from Dr. Peter Attia or the Huberman Lab or Rhonda Fitzpatrick, The biggest thing that we hear for longevity is movement. And one of my favorite mantras is movement is king. And truthfully, it is any kind of movement. Get moving, no matter what it is that you want to do. Let's say you haven't been moving. And that was difficult for me because I had 9 months last year of not moving very much because of my hip surgery. But now I truly feel better. And so, how can I move forward? I'm making an intention that no matter what, I'm going to get up and move at least for 5 to 10 minutes every hour during the day. And then some primary movement goals are to do some weightlifting because those are the two things that are key: developing muscle strength, flexibility, and moving. Those are key for longevity, movement, movement. And you don't even have to do 10,000 steps. That's really the failure. Don't make whatever it is that you want to do big. Maybe you want a big goal to head towards. The goal towards the 6 month part is going to be fine, or the goal towards, in 3 months. But what is the daily goal? For me, that truthfully is the key, the daily goal. I know without my morning routine, and now what I'm doing is I'm basically attaching a movement routine with my morning routine, hoping that that's going to stick. Because truthfully, even as much as I know that movement is king, the day gets away from me. And then I'm always saying something like, oh, I'll get to that tomorrow. Well, I can't do that anymore. I'm really doing a disservice. And I'm going to hang my hat on the fact that I truthfully want to have a better physical body, flexibility, strength in general. And the only way that I'm going to get that is to change what I'm doing every day. So that's my goal towards movement. What is yours? Movement is the key for everything. And I think the second thing is, what is our nutrition? Are we eating whole foods? Are we eating too many fast foods or restaurants or Door Dashes or Grubhubs and Uber Eats and all of those things? It is so, so easy to get that here in the city. And I'm sure it happens elsewhere too, that getting food delivered to you is an easy out. But it's a failure in some ways because we don't have control over what's inside those meals. Yes, you could probably pick and choose some things that are pretty healthy, but you know what? It's either not healthy for your body or it's not healthy for your pocketbook. So that's the third thing, which we'll talk about momentarily. But nutrition is huge, 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 huge for our wellness, especially as we're getting older. We need more protein. We need more variety of nutritious vegetables and fruits. And we need less processed foods and breads and carbs that don't have a lot of caloric density. They're not nutritious. They're just not. So, how can we make our bodies fueled for that movement if we're not going to be conscious about our nutritious diet? So, change something small. For me, breakfast is easy. Lunch and dinner are a little more difficult. So for me, in this first quarter, I'm just going to look at how can I help myself in planning lunch and doing more food prep over the weekend. That's really key for me. If I can really plan the meals and plan it out in my refrigerator over the weekend, it's a winner. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to think about what's the caloric content of what I'm eating. It's already planned. It's in a container. I have it laid out and it's simple. But if I wait to the last minute and I don't have anything in the refrigerator, I'm falling back to an old habit of getting DoorDash or Uber Eats or something easy. And that's not the way to go. I think the third thing is that we worry about is our financial health. If we're not really tracking how we're managing our money, we're doing a disservice to ourselves. Because as we get older, the ability to earn money becomes less and less, and we need to rely on our savings, our 401ks, our what is it, Social Security, and all of those things. And what we keep hearing from everywhere is that the prices are going up. The inflation is here. We're going to have some kind of bubble burst or something. But we can really take a deeper look at this time of the year and decide, where am I spending my money? Do I know where it's going? Can I really look at my checkbook or my finances and understand how I'm paying for everything? Because the more I can get concentrated about my financial health, it really helps my mental well-being, my stress, and my way of feeling and thinking about myself for the future. So instead of thinking as this is a time for judging the last year and somehow going to make drastic changes so I don't have to do or face what I did last year, there's no good or bad. Really, truthfully, it's how are we showing up for ourselves every day? For that deep why. Why do you want to live longer? Why do you want to be vigorous and vivacious and moving well into your 80s and 90s? For me, I have a younger partner, and I really want to be someone who's vigorous and enthusiastic and energetic well into my older age. I also have family and friends that I want to be here for and do things with. I don't want to be just sitting on the sidelines. I've done that before because I've had a bad hip or I've had a bad knee. I really want to let that go. So, I realize that my why is I want to be engaged in my life, in doing and being, and not just sitting and observing. What do you want for your life? What is your why? Do you have grandchildren? Do you have children that are going to have a wedding soon or who are getting married or who are having their first children? It's Mr. Pete jumping around if you hear anything. It's that time of day where he suddenly needs to go out. Of course, it's freezing outside. But meanwhile, back to the topic. It's the new year. It is a good time to kind of take stock of where are we in our lives? What's important to us? What is it that we want to do every day that is going to play a role into what truly is important to us? I know for me, I want to be the very best version of who I am at every single age until I leave this earth. How about you? What are the small steps that you're going to take daily so that you can be the very best version of who you are? It's not about making big plans or setting big goals. It's really about what are the daily actions to make movement your king, to make nutrition something that fuels your body, to look at your financial health, to take care of your body. And self-care is probably the biggest thing that we can do to honor who we are in this world to our loved ones and to ourselves. So be well, my friends. Let's make this coming year amazing because we're going to be doing things every single day intentionally. I know I gave a little simple exercise that you can check out the previous episode where you can really let go and focus on those intentions. And that's what my desire is for you more than anything, is to be intentional about how you're living your life well into your 80s and 90s. So please think about subscribing. I would love to see you here each week where we can share and support one another, being a thriving, vigorous person that can live very well into our 80s and 90s. Bye-bye. See you next time.
So thank you so much for joining me at Healthy by George. I hope you found the information inspiring and that it encourages you on your wellness journey. Because remember, your body, your well-being are a most precious gift, and every tiny action taken daily can make a huge difference. I hope the information here is educational purposes and is not meant to replace your medical care. See your doctor and talk about what works for you. If you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Your support means the world to me. and it helps me continuing creating content that inspires and empowers you to live your best life. Goodbye for now, and join me again at the next Healthy by George.